Okay, this is a little video on how to prepare your files for screen printing. So I'm going to go through the process of how to create a file. We've done this, but I'm going to go through it really quickly. So we're going to go File, New, and because we're going to print on 11 by 17 paper, we're going to set it 11 by 17, which is tabloid, and we're going to be in CMYK and the resolution at 300 ppi. So hit OK. And I'm working in portrait, but you could certainly work in landscape. A couple of things you want open. You want your layers menu open, and you want your transparency menu open only because we want to make sure we're working at 100% opacity. That should be the default, but sometimes when you open up a computer somebody's been working on, they might have their settings set differently, right? So to make sure that that's checked, make sure check layers. Stroke might be helpful, transparency, and then make sure the default tools are set, and that's the tools over here. Okay, and then you're ready to go. All right, I've already downloaded a file from the internet. I'm just going to use a piece of clip art. You can use your scanned ink art. In fact, I would encourage that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place it. So I'm going to go File, Place. There's my clip art. I'm going to select it. I'm going to go Place. And when it comes in, it could be really small. That's okay. I would encourage you to think about using the entire page, because when we start printing, that's actually not that big. So I'm going to hit the Shift key, and this means that it will enlarge it proportionally. I want to leave a little room for a background, so I think that's good. So the next thing I want to do is I want to turn it into a vector, and I do that by going to the image trace, and I want to select black and white logo. Hit OK. And there it is. And the one thing that you need to do is you need to make the background transparent. So we have to go to this little panel here, image trace panel, come down. It may look like this. Hit the advanced key, the down arrow, and go ignore white. And it will continue to trace it, and now it's transparent. Okay? So we've got that layer done. Now we need to make the background layer. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go create new layer. Some people were doing create new sublayer, and make sure it's create new layer. Okay. Now we want this layer to be underneath, so I'm going to select it and I'm going to drag it down, and now that layer is underneath the first layer. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, get out of the image trace panel, is I want to change what's in the palette to gray. The other thing is I want to make sure that my stroke is not selected. So if you see it like this, all you have to do is select the stroke and then hit none, and that means there's no stroke. Now select the little fill here, double click on it, and then select a gray. Okay. So now I'm ready to draw my background in, and I'm going to do that using the pen tool. There's multiple ways of doing this. I'm going to do this sort of quick and dirty. Let's make sure we lock layer 1, and then let's make sure we're on layer 2 when we start working. Okay, so I'm going to click, and then just hold and drag, and that'll create a curved line. Now, in order to get back to the beginning of the selection, I'm going to hit the Command key. It turns into a selection arrow, and I'm going to pull this little vector line back. All right, and that will allow me to continue. And what I'm going to do is I'm not going to go through and make all the curves. I'm just going to make this really rough, and I think you guys all understand how to do this. So I'm going to come up there. There it is. To complete the selection, I'm going to go to the selection key here, and there it is. So I've got two layers now. I've got my bottle layer and I've got my background layer. What I would do is we're going to save 3 files. So we're going to save this file with the background layer. So we're going to go File, Save As, and we're going to keep it as an Illustrator file. Let's call this Bottle Ground. You can name it whatever you want. Save. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the little eye, and I'm going to, it hasn't deselected, it just means it's hidden. And now what I want to do is I want to select this, and I'm going to copy. So I'm going to go Edit, Copy. And now I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to go File, New, and it should come in at the same size. Hit OK. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Edit, and I'm just going to go Paste. And it'll paste it right back in the same spot. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this file. I'm going to go File, Save As, and I'm going to call it just Ground. And I'm going to save it to the desktop. Okay. One more thing I need to do though for printing is this has to be totally black. So I'm going to go click on the palette, and then I'm going to select black. And again, I want to make sure that it is at 100% transparency. If it's not, it won't be a good file to print from. Okay, so once I've done it, I want to go File, Save. Okay, so that file is done. Now let's go back to the original file, the bottle ground. Let's click back on the bottle, and let's click off the background. So we're going to do the same thing now. Make sure we're on the selection tool. Got to be on the correct layer. Unlock it. Select, and then I'm going to go Edit, Copy, and I'm going to go File, New, and again everything's the same, and I'm going to call this one Bottle, and then I'm going to go Edit, Paste. There it is. So I'm just going to go File, Save. All right, Save. Okay. So now I have 3 different files. I've got the ground and I've got the bottle file. These 2 are the ones that we're going to print. We're not going to print a negative from this. I would keep it, maybe put it in your Google Drive as reference if we need to, but this one, which is the background, and this one, which is the positive, those are the 2 that you need in order to print onto our film stock. So that's it.